Hi crafters, I'd like to tell you today about Stampin' Up's beautiful coordinating projects. Summer's coming to an end. This is my goodbye to summer video. I'd like to show you this wonderful bundle called Friends Are Like Seashells. It comes with a stamp set with all these images and greetings. There's a coordinating die. And I'm going to show you how to use this die. It also has a starfish, a sand dollar, a small shell, and some seaweed. And it has this lovely embossing folder. I'm not sure if you can see the images, but maybe if I open it up you can see it. So I'm going to show you how to use those today. I'm going to start with the Stamparatus. This is Stampin' Up's Stamparatus. It's great if you want to make several cards that are the same, if you're making cards in bulk, which as we're approaching Christmas, I know you'll want to do that. I'm going to get the paper straight there. I have put the stamps on already to show you how I place the stamps. And this is the beauty of Stampin' Up's stamp sets. They often coordinate, their products often coordinate. I put the die down and then I just place the stamps in the openings where they would go, so that I know when I take it out, these shells will be stamped exactly where I want them to be to coordinate with the die and the embossing folder. So isn't that beautiful and easy? So I'm just going to move this over. When you're using your Stamparatus, you always want to put a block underneath it to kind of support this side of it as you're inking it up. It does have plates that come off, and that's always fun. I'll show you how to use those in another video, some fun ways to use those in another video. We're going to open up our stamp pad, and we're just going to ink this up. I'm inking this up with Smoky Slate. That's the lightest gray. And I have our paper down, and we'll just rub over that. You'll see that some of the stamps are stained from some pinks that I used earlier, but that doesn't hurt the stamp at all. When we lift that up, see, there's some sections that didn't take too well. And that is also the beauty of the Stamparatus. I can ink those up again, ink that part up again. We know that our paper's in exactly the same place. I have a magnet there that holds it. And I can just go back over that section right there. This is particularly nice if you're doing a greeting and some of the words don't print too well. You'll love your Stamparatus for that. And now, there you go. Beautiful. All right, so we'll move our Stamparatus out of the way. Just unhook that. Move these things out of the way, and I'll show you what you can do with your inked up image. I'm going to bring in the cut and emboss machine. In case you haven't seen it, this is the full-sized one. And I'm going to bring in the embossing folder to show you how that works. So I'm going to put this inside the embossing folder. I can see through it, and I'm just going to work a minute to align the seashells inside that emboss. Now we have them nicely aligned. You always put the front, the folded part of the embossing folder toward the front of the machine. Stampin' Up! Comes with plates, and on this plate it tells me exactly what I need to do. It says using with 3D embossing folders, I'm going to use plate number 4 and plate number 1. So those reminders are always there for me. I love that part. I'm just going to put it through here and roll it through. And when we open this up, you can see that it's added some nice texture. I'm going to try to get it close so you can see the texture that it's added to each seashell, as well as some seaweed there. So let me show you what you can do with those things. Now, I will tell you this before I move on. If you wanted, you could cut out that with the dies. The dies cut that shape out. This is one that I've already cut out. And it lines up in there perfectly. So let's look at some projects that I've done. This is a pure white, basic white, that I put through that embossing folder. Look how lovely it would be if you layered it on another white and then just added a strip here for a greeting. That's going to make a lovely, lovely card. This is some vanilla, and I used the die to cut out this shape. Then I put the die inside the embossing folder, embossed it, and took it out, and there you have all that nice texture. So then you could mount that with some dimensionals onto your card, and just a little greeting there across the top, middle, and that's going to be a lovely card. So let's look at another way to use these cards. As I said, I've already embossed this, and I used the die to cut this out. I also used the die to cut out this piece right here. And I wanted to show you that you can trim off parts of this die cut, the shells. You just cut around like this. This is a picture of a case of one of the pictures in the catalog that I saw. So I'm just cutting out each individual shell after it's been stamped and embossed. Trim that out. If you like, you can save these little pieces and use them in another card. Maybe sponge them with a little bit of green, and I'll show you how I have used those in one of the cards that I show you later. Stick around. I'm going to show a lot of cards that are made with this set. A lot of variety in it. All right, so let's get our scraps out of the way. And we're just going to use some dimensionals to pop up these shells. And we'll just place that right there. You may or may not be a beach person, but I'll bet you have friends who are beach people, and they'd love to get a card like this. Some people tell me they're mountain people. I hope you've had a great summer and you got to take a little vacation to the beach or to the mountains. All right, one more left. And there you go. Now this would also look lovely, just like that on a card. Or maybe you could even add a little bit of DSP to the back of that. That's going to make a stunning card for your friends that like the beach. Here's an example of one that I cut out with the die cut. And I'm going to emboss it for you. Right, when it's already die cut, it's even easier to line up in your embossing folder. So we'll just run it through. Fold of the embossing folder to the front. And there's that lovely texture when we take it out of the embossing folder. You can probably see the texture on the back better than the front. So here's another card that you could make. I've added some DSP to the back. And that gives a different feel to it with the DSP in the back, the Designer Series paper. So there's that look. Just kind of showing you some ideas. I haven't even really taped them down. So there's 3 ideas right there really quickly. You might want to pick up a package of these opal rounds. They're on page 143 of the annual catalog, and they go with these seashells beautifully. Of course, you can put your stamps on a block and stamp each shell with a different color and then put it in the embossing folder. So here's one where each shell has different colors. I also did the same thing and cut the shells out individually and use them. Then you can place them on a card and use them that way. This is some more of that beautiful DSP. Here's a card that I put it through the embossing folder with blue, balmy blue, and then I stamped the seashell in balmy blue, and I used the stitched dies here with gray, and that makes a lovely card. Here's a card where I cut out the individual seashells, and remember I told you to save these little scraps that you cut off. I just sponged that with some green and put it in the back. This is some DSP, but you could stamp those seashells and make your own DSP. And there's the birthday greeting. That's from the Biggest Wish birthday set that's in the annual catalog. And that makes a fun flap card. Here's another flap card with some pretty DSP. That's the large shell that I cut out, and a large circle where I stamped the greeting. Again, it's the flap card, and it uses a greeting from the Friends Are Like Seashells stamp set. Happy birthday to my beautiful friend. Here's a beautiful sympathy card that I made. Now, you probably can't see it, but this is some shimmer paper. So it's not just white, it has a shine to it. It's hard to catch that on the camera. But this is the sand dollar from that stamp set with a little bit of ribbon behind it. This was stamped on vellum, and then I used Stampin' Blends to kind of put a little color on the back of it, some pool party color, just to make it show up a little more. And last but not least, here's a fun fold card. I showed this fun fold in one of my earlier videos, so this is just a variation on it. There's some pretty DSP. I used the sand dollar cutout, and it folds up and attaches right there behind the greeting. And there you have kind of a fun fold card. So I hope that you will consider getting this stamp set. It's on page 100. It's on page 27, and the embossing folder is on page 155. If you don't have a Stampin' Up demonstrator, I'd love to be yours. You can find me at stampinchat30@gmail.com or on Facebook at stampinchat30. There's my August host code. I'd love for you to like and share this video. If you like and share and comment that you shared so I'll know who shared, you might win one of these cards, and I'll send it to you in the mail. Hope you have a great day. Ink it up and send a blessing to someone today.